Today we talked to one of our all-time favorite guests, Janelle, and she's going to talk about everything from her current e-commerce launches to brand strategy to making money with real estate, franchises, and even oil wells. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And today, we've got one of our favorite guests back on the show, Janelle. Janelle, how's it going?
Oh, it's awesome. How are you, Bradley?
I'm doing just delightful. Now, for those, I said one of our favorite guests. So you might be like, wait, this is the first time I'm hearing about her. So we're not going to go too much into her backstory now because she has been on the show. So if you want to take note and listen to a couple of her episodes before so you can see a little bit about her humble beginnings to superstardom, check out the very first time she was on the podcast. It was way back in 2021. That's episode 294. So make sure to check that out. And then she was also on episode 401. The latest one was episode 558. From last year. And so we try and have our favorite guests back on once a year. And so it's been over a year. So we want to come back and see how you've been doing. Are you still in, is it Utah where you live?
Yep. Still in Utah. I've got a new house. We bought an old Victorian 1890s. It was totally condemned and we've been fixing it up. It's pretty rad.
Are you doing one of those like Facebook or TikTok, like progression videos? I'm like addicted to those on Facebook. Like there's this one guy I watch. He bought a house in like the Balkans. He doesn't say where, so it could be Serbia or wherever. But it was like 5,000 euros. It was just like completely empty, like just bricks, pretty much. And he's been like building it up. Did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I did a few TikTok videos on him, and it was pretty cool. Like Victorian, everyone that like into old homes loves to follow along, see what we're doing. Like there's a big upstairs, and we just blew out the back wall because it sits on half an acre and overlooks a reservoir with the mountains in the back. And I was like, I want that view. So we just blew out the back wall, and a lot of the Victorian purists were like, oh, sacrilege! You've like destroyed a historic home. It is a historic home, but I was like, I mean, the ghosts haven't come to haunt us. I think they enjoy the view as well. So I think we're okay.
Yes. And, part of the reason you can just go buy fancy homes like this is because of your e-commerce success. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I remember the last couple of times we had talked about some projects you were doing with different celebrities and things. Did any of those products ever get launched?
Oh, yes. So several of them. I've partnered with many YouTubers and celebrities and done 6- and 7-figure launches. Some of my favorite, most fun ones, like Dr. Ekberg, for anyone he's got a very large channel on YouTube, and he's like a holistic doctor, helps people chiropractic's kind of his background. But we launched a supplement line with him. But first, usually before I launch a physical product, I like to test the market with like some merch. If you see a lot of creators, they're really good at creating content and they can build an audience. But what they've never done is tried to sell. And so the first time you try to sell, it can be a total bust. And what I like to do is test it. And the easy test is just some merch, right? And if the merch sells, then okay, the audience will buy. Then I'll test with like a digital product. And not all creators, have a digital product, but I can usually figure out an angle for something. So we did a blood work course, and that course it's done several millions now, but a couple of years ago when we launched it did 6 figures like within 2 days, and then $1 million. So it's been really fun to work on that project. Then we started his supplement line, and we started with one of those electrolyte powders. Now he's got a couple more, and it's called Uvexia. So that went really well. And then I've done with John Malecki. If any woodworkers here, I think it's so fun to watch people build like live edge furniture, but he has one of the largest carpentry channels on YouTube. And we launched his shop shades, which are super cool. Because, in the shop, have you ever remember in high school you wore those big old goofy protective eyewear? And he would never wear it, and his guys would never wear it in the shop. And he's like, I'm like, we got to make some cool glasses like Oakley, designer shop shades. So that's what we made. We call them shop shades. And those were really fun. And did the same thing with a DIY design. NataLee, she's got, trying to think what her channel is, Design to the Nines. We did sexy, Safe is Sexy series. And we launched her some cheetah eyewear. And then we did her whole Athena power drill line, all the power tools. So those were just a few.
Okay. So, somebody might be listening like, well, I'm not a celebrity, but hey, there are some people out there who might have a following somewhere. Maybe they had a newsletter, maybe they have a big Instagram following. And when we say big, it doesn't have to be a million or
Not
something.
at all.
Maybe you've got an email list from something you have done. Maybe it's a YouTube channel. So let's just say there's an average Joe, not necessarily a celebrity, but still, built up an audience because of one of their previous endeavors or whatever it is. I can understand the reason behind testing. It's like, hey, just because you got an audience doesn't mean it's an audience that's going to buy a product.
Yeah.
And so what would your I think you mentioned merch and some other things like how could just somebody out there go ahead and do this same process where it's like, all right, before I jump in and invest, $20,000 into a product that my audience might not, work.
Yeah.
Are you talking about merch by Amazon, like print on
Okay.
demand stuff, or what are you talking about?
Except for, like if you've already got an audience, I would recommend doing not print on demand because the quality is a little bit not awesome, right? So if you're partnering with like Ryan Tran or Mr. Beast, we're not going to do a print on demand. That would just not look well on the brand. But a test for you or whatever, if you're small, just dabbling, a print on demand would be fine. Or you can even, people buy shirts and use Cricut. You know what I mean? Their own little, like if you go to Etsy, a lot of people are making shirts and apparel and stuff with their Cricut machine. But to answer your question, this is what I've been doing just recently. You asked me, what have I been up to? I'm building for the first time a niche audience. So, and I tell you, just like you said, it doesn't have to be a big audience. I've worked with creators that have the largest audiences, I wouldn't say in the world, but some of them have very, very large followings and some of the largest YouTube creators. And those are slam dunks, right? You can do $1 million launches all day long. But I was like, I'm a case in point. I just started building an audience in the pickleball space. It's kind of a hobby of mine, a passion. I started, 8 weeks ago? So not even 2 months. I just crossed 1,100 subscribers on my newsletter, and I'm doing nothing awesome to grow it besides just creating really good content in my newsletter.
And you started this from scratch, pretty much.
Nothing.
So this is like to the rest of the audience who's like, well, not only am I not a celebrity, not only do I not have a big following, but I can actually start from scratch to build something community up.
100%. Like if I was smart, and I'm smart, but I'm just saying the play for me would be build a newsletter and marketing and product launch strategy where I've, made millions and done all these awesome things. That would be really low hanging fruit for me to build the following there. But I was like, I'm just passionate about pickleball. I can't stop talking about it. I research it whenever I've got a free moment. I'm watching YouTube videos on it. And so I thought, what better way for me to feed my passion than to write a newsletter, see if I can grow an audience. I don't even know what products I'm going to offer yet. I mean, I can see some digital courses. I have ideas because I've launched so many products in the past, but I'll tell you what, in just 8 weeks, I just, 2 days ago, got offered to go on a private yacht, has a floating pickleball court. They're paying my way and my husband, and they just want me to create content and help them with their branding and marketing. So I was posting on LinkedIn my most recent newsletter episode, because I always do this week in 5 Dink Friday. 5 Dink Friday is what it's called. If you want to go check it out, you can go to the website and just see what I'm doing. I should probably build it in public. But anyhow, I'm just saying the things start happening I only had, when she, last week, 1,000 followers. So I'm not even that huge, but she's sees this girl's serious. She's making good content. We want her on our ship. She'll just cover it. It's Croatia. It's 9 days. It's $4,000 a person.
Good grief.
I know, dude. I've never been on a private yacht. You should see the pictures of this bad boy. I mean, I'm like, this is so cool. So, even if I never launched a product right there for 2 months, writing a weekly newsletter, maybe I'm 80 hours into it and I just got an 8,000 ROI. And think about the people I'm going to network on that yacht.
Mm-hmm.
The people that can afford to go on that, totally my target market. They're going to be wealthy, retired, or business owners. So I just want people to understand, it's not that hard. And I didn't do anything but start creating content. When you create value, that is what earns money. Creating value, educating, teaching, sharing. So it's how I've built all of my businesses.
So for this newsletter, were you just like, hey, I'm going to start a newsletter, or was the end game actually you're looking to maybe start a pickleball brand as well, a physical product?
I have a partnership. So when I moved to Utah, this new location, I started playing pickleball about 1.5 years ago. And the facility that I was playing at, super cute, it's called The Kitchen. They were like, hey, you do marketing. Could you help us? And I was like, maybe. And at the time I was working with a lot of the athletes, helping with develop a pickleball supplement line. And so they kind of knew she must be kind of smart. So they were like, hey, do you want to help us with our marketing? And I kind of told them like my fee structure, and they're like, oh, wow. They're just like a mom and pop shop. So they were like, maybe, how else can we work together? And I was like, hey, I love pickleball. Maybe let me just take some equity, or we'll figure it out. So that's how I became a co-owner of the kitchen. And so we actually have right now 8 physical locations here in Utah, and we're franchising, and I've helped them build out their franchising and consulting. So I kind of head up, I guess I'm like the chief growth officer, helping them just grow the business. I've started an e-commerce shop for them because they weren't reselling any products. And I was like, guys, you have like 10,000 active members between your locations. Like, they're going to like Pickleball Wholesale or Pickleball Central and buying paddles and balls, and like, why not have a website that we sell our own stuff? And so I kind of showed them that model, and they were like, whoa. And like, we don't even have to carry inventory. We can like white label through other big, companies. There was so many different ways we could put this together, because they were like, well, how are we going to have, outlay all this cash to bring all that inventory? And it's like, well, let's just start out white labeling. And if you decide you like it and then you want to make higher margins later, we'll start sourcing and creating our own. But that's about 6 months live, and we're selling anywhere from 15,000 that's in profit, because we're not carrying inventory. So that was like the first thing. And then they were kind of like, all right, what else do you got? And I'm like, well, we could scale a lot faster, open more locations. We can start. I love coaching programs and teaching and consulting. So I was like, why don't we turn your model into like a coaching program? We started a coaching program that's like $35,000, and we help people open. The difference with our model is we're small and profitable. A lot of these big facilities come in, they have massive overhead, like with staff and heating, utility bills on a big like 12, 15 quart facility. Those won't pencil. So we build intimate, small locations that are staff free, totally automated, and they're highly profitable.
Want to keep up to date with trending topics in the e-commerce world? Make sure to subscribe to our blog. We regularly release articles that talk about things such as shipping and logistics, e-commerce in other countries, the latest changes to Amazon Seller Central, how to get set up on new platforms like Newegg, how to write and publish a book on Amazon KDP, and much, much more. Check these articles out at h10.me/blog. I think just in general, what you're talking about is something that entrepreneurs, like might be listening to this, like, I'm never going to open my own pickleball court. But guys, gone are the days where everybody or most people selling on Amazon is just like, I'm selling on Amazon and that's it. The next stage of that, no, you got to be selling, nowadays you got to be selling on Amazon, you got to be selling TikTok, Walmart, you got to be selling in Amazon, Germany. But then it still doesn't stop there. Like there could be a global pandemic and it shuts down, supply chain and stuff. But the more you can diversify your cash flow is the better. Like Janelle's in all these things. She's still an entrepreneur, but she's selling on Amazon. She's starting content. She's building brands. She's opening pickleball courts. She's consulting with companies. But guys, if you guys are, most people I think who are interested in selling on Amazon are looking like, hey, I want to make generational wealth, or I want to just have a great job where I don't have to work 40 hours a week and diversify my income streams. Janelle, you're literally living that life. But I think 5-7 years ago, not many people are having this kind of conversation, because it's just like, nah, just be focused on Amazon and you're good, and you're good to go.
Like you said, what do you do when you have that exit, or you're making a lot of money? You're either going to give it to the government in taxes, or you start doing some investment strategies, right? So that's how I got super into real estate. I was like, I can either buy this portfolio of homes or invest in this syndication, or I can just write a check to Uncle Sam. So and sometimes, to be honest, sometimes I hate being a landlord, or my property managers suck, and I'm like, I should have just written the check to Uncle Sam, but like they say, more money, more problems. And it's like, boo-hoo. But I'm just saying, no, like there are some times where I'm like, wow, like that, the ROI on that, yeah, it's awesome, but for the headache it caused, not awesome. Yeah. And people talk about passive income, and I'm like, I don't know, besides like oil wells, I've done oil wells, I don't know that there's anything that's truly passive. Everything has taken work and takes up some mental bandwidth. And I do try to just do the things that I love, knowing that you're going to have to put some kind of effort and brain power into it at some point, if you want the return. Speaking of e-commerce, though, since this is why people are watching, they'll probably be like, why is she talking about all this other stuff? I do still launch brands. I still have brands. In fact, Tomer and I have partnered on a brand. We've been working on this for 2 years, and it's launching finally. August 11th, we're having the launch party, and I'll be posting about it on LinkedIn and my social medias like starting tomorrow, leading up to it, because on August 11th, we'll have a big old launch party, and we're going to show the strategy behind it, how we're launching, just free education. Tomer, if people don't know, he's really awesome in the Amazon space, does a lot of
Yep.
coaching and consulting, his top dog community. And he just brought me in. He's like, hey, I want you to help with the brand strategy and help
This
partner
wasn't
on.
like, I remember a couple years ago he was talking about like it was like a business bag or something like that. Is that the same one, or this is completely different?
Well, it's similar. That's what it took so long, the R&D to create. We call it the Alpha Charge, and we're going to be launching that on Kickstarter. But right now, it's in like we're doing some testing, driving a whole bunch of traffic, Facebook ads, just to do price testing. But it's a 3-in-1 charger. Like it's a laptop protector. I wouldn't say necessarily a bag, but it does have a shoulder strap. It serves as a charging bank. It's, can carry your laptop, and then it's a workstation, portable workstation. So it's 3-in-1, and it's pretty sleek and sexy. In fact, I guess I can't share a link, but you can put it in the notes, or they can
Mhm.
go to LinkedIn and check it out. And then, in the meantime, we are working on the supplement line. So it's a brand made by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. Because that's the thing I'm huge on. If you're going to go into a space, niche down, pick a person, solve their problems. Like Tomer is like, we're going for entrepreneurs. I'm like, excellent. I don't know a brand right now that anyone could say, oh, that brand's made for entrepreneurs or digital
Yeah.
nomads. There's nothing there. So that's where I'm like, hey, there's a gap in the market. We can go in, we fill that, and now we're going to make products. And it gives you laser beam focus in your PD, which is your product development. You now say, what problems do my people have? Even helps if you're that person. And how can we create products that solve those problems or fill those needs? So it's given us a really good focus, and we've got 3 products that are now hitting the market all at the same time, pretty much. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. It's called Mess Less.
Mess less.
Yep, it's all about
I can already
cleaning.
tell what it might be about, so I like that.
Well, because it's like, as entrepreneurs, we wear so many hats, right? And you can get unfocused on the 80-20, the 20% that moves 80% of the business forward. And so we're trying to clear the noise, the clutter, get you focused. And our flagship product is Mess Less Focus, which is a productivity supplement designed to help you, get off the caffeine. You're not going to have the jitters and the crazy crash, but it's a nootropic with like 5 clinically studied ingredients. It's super incredible formulation, because I'm a nerd about formulas, you know that. And then we created a stack. So restore is the nighttime, because rest. You need to be refreshed and wake up so you can do it all over again. So that's the supplement stack that we started with. And then we have Alpha Charge. And then I won't talk yet about the other products in the pipeline, but I'm super excited because we have been working on the launch strategy. Like, we're going full on, like, Amazon to me is just one sales channel.
Sure.
Right now, the fastest way to build $1 million brand is TikTok. We use it with our brands. We can blow things up super, super fast on TikTok. So we have a full TikTok launch strategy that we'll be going over and sharing with you. We've been working our butts off on that. We've got, the organic content strategy, of course, our Shopify and everything built out, and then our Amazon strategy as well. And that will all we'll talk about on the launch. And then we're going to build this in public, although we haven't been showing the 2-year journey. We'll kind of do it in reverse, but it'll be pretty cool.
So then let's say, again, going back, I want people to understand a lot. Some things are different when we're talking about celebrity. Some things are different when we're talking about, what people like to call gurus, if that's what you consider Tomer or Janelle. And then so you have, there's a tendency, it's like, oh, that I could never do that. That's me. But a lot of what you guys are doing, it could be anybody, regardless of your stature in the industry. So let's just say there's an average Joe, average Sally in 2025. They've got, 10 grand to invest into a new product. And let's just say that the product is not anything major, like an appliance. So
Yeah.
just the product alone, maybe you're only talking like $4,000 or maybe $5,000 maximum, landed here in the States. What would be your kind of like launch strategy? Like, are you like, hey, no, nowadays it's important to have that audience first. So you know what, before you even think about the product, do what you did with the pickleball and start that.
Yeah.
regardless of what that is, once the actual product is launched, are you do you preach simultaneous Amazon and TikTok and somewhere else, and Shopify maybe? Or are you using, Kickstarter? Like what is the $10,000 blueprint per Janelle Page here in 2025?
Well, you probably already know this, but I've never been like the person that's like, find a keyword and like just go do a product and stick it out there and try to capture the traffic. I mean, it works. That's like a lot of people do that. But I build brands, and a brand is a feeling, and it's meeting needs from a person. And you want them to be like, to feel like they belong to a movement or like they've found their people. And so I'm more focused on building the story, building the brand, and solving real problems, creating products with those solutions. And even if it's like a Me Too product, if you have a story that you can tell that makes it look like you've done something different, like they always tell the story about the beer. I can't remember if it's Coors or Miller Lite that basically started saying that our beer is made from fresh spring water. They were all pulling their water from the same place, but it wasn't until like Coors actually, made it sound like theirs was something special. So they were able to create that product positioning, that differentiation in the market that made them feel special and cool. And so it's like, if you're about to launch a product and you just basically saw it was an opportunity on Amazon, well, guess what? Amazon's a freaking flea market, and it's a race to the bottom. Whoever's willing to make the least amount of profit, you got to build a brand. You got to be like, because unless you're made that product yourself and you've got a patent on it, if you're getting it made in China or Pakistan or India, I don't care, wherever, those factories can go right in and compete against you. And guess what? They cut out the middleman. So your only advantage is your branding and your marketing and your storytelling and the feeling that you create with your consumer and that connection. And so if you're not going to do any of that, I would tell you, keep your $10,000 and go buy a window washing business that's actually going to be, something that you can control your destiny with. And I don't feel like the world needs another like spatula or dog leash, or, you found, if the factory can make it, and you haven't done anything unique and you don't have a story to tell, like you're really going to last like not long at all. And it's a constant rat race. They're constantly having to find a new product to launch because it's just understand the cycle, understand the game you're signing up to play, because that's the game. You're not building a brand. You're looking for product opportunities that have a certain life cycle, and then it's going to churn and burn, and you've got to launch another product. So it's a fine business model if that's the part you enjoy. Because I imagine if you enjoy looking for the product opportunities and that's the thing you love, then you'll probably be very successful with that system. But that's not the part I love. I love the branding, the storytelling, the connecting, and like thinking about like, how do we launch the next product in the line, and like building a bigger list and like getting passionate, loyal, raving fans, That's what I
Yeah.
like.
Okay. Now let me just completely flip the script. Let's say I'm an established Amazon seller. I'm not becoming rich on my Amazon products, but I have decent cash flow. I was able to get $10,000 just sitting here. Like that was all pure profit from whatever time period. I'm like, instead of, some people are like, hey, I'm just going to take that $10,000 and go into a new product. Nothing wrong with that. You got a formula of what works with your brand. Go ahead. But let's say, you know what? I was inspired by Janelle's Diversification podcast here. If I only had $10,000, what would you do with that $10,000 as far as like, is that enough to like invest somewhere doing something with real estate? Is that enough to invest in a, like, or at least to get a down payment to have a loan for a franchise or something? What would you do if you were just average Joe or average Sally with an extra $10,000 looking to, not have all your income come from e-commerce?
Invest in myself first. Always, personal brand is like where all of my opportunities have come from. I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would say, a year just in education alone, mentors, business coaches. And so it's like, what is it that you want to do? I hired the number one creator on LinkedIn to be my business coach, because I'm like, I want to build, I want to learn LinkedIn, and I know it's a massively underutilized platform right now. I mean, it's growing, but like, how do I take advantage of that and grow my personal brand on LinkedIn? So, and I've done that all throughout my life. When I wanted to build an agency, I said, who's got the most successful marketing agency that I know of? And I hired him as my business coach. Same with YouTube. When I wanted to figure out YouTube, I said, who's the most successful creator on YouTube? And it leads to so many different opportunities. From that, hiring my business coach for YouTube, we created a business together because he knew all the YouTubers, but he didn't know how to launch products. That set me up for, making very, very good money and connections because I got to now work with the largest YouTube creators and help them launch products. So even already in LinkedIn, hiring the coach, just the people I've met, the top creators in the world on LinkedIn. You know, it's like $10,000 can buy you a course in anything you want to learn, and one-on-one coaching with probably the best in the world at whatever you want to do. So it's like another product, sure. Figure out what the ROI is at on that. And if you enjoy the model and stuff, great. But if you're kind of like, yeah, you know, I don't know that I love this model and I want to diversify, it'd be like right now, AI. I wish I loved AI. I don't. I'm creative. I'm marketing. Like
Mhm.
I tell my kids, I'm like, freaking go into AI, learn how to build agents. Like it's just the coolest thing. It doesn't excite me. I don't want to get
Mhm.
up in the morning and freaking learn about AI. I truly
Yeah.
wish I did. It's such a
I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I understand, like some of it you
mm,
need to know nowadays, like just yesterday I downloaded ChatGPT to my phone for the first time. Never had ChatGPT on my phone.
yeah.
I use it on the computer. I'm like, all right, yeah. So little by little I'm going, but yeah, I'm a little bit similar. Like I wish I could just dedicate myself to it, but it's like so new. I'm like, oh my God. And it's so frustrating sometimes with all the hallucinations. I'm like, it just kind of makes me crazy. But yeah,
No,
I get
there
your
are
point.
more billionaires made in the next few years in
Yep.
AI than any space. So if
Yep.
you're just an opportunist, that is where you would go all in. Go all in, you know? And I know what all in looks like. I do it when I get passionate about something like pickleball, right? But to me, I love money. Don't get me wrong. I think money's
Hmm.
wonderful and I'm motivated by money. But there's a point where I'm like, I'm not willing to do something where I wake up in the morning and I'm not excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited to get up and talk about marketing and branding and pickleball. If it was AI, I'd be like, it'd feel like work. And I don't feel
Yeah.
like I've worked a day in my life for the last few decades. But I am. If you ask my husband, he'd be like, you're always working. I'm like, I am. It's so fun. So I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world.
Okay, so investing in yourself is good, and then just in general, what about in like once you know something and you're better at something, what about in like businesses? What's the there's nothing that's zero risk, and no matter
No,
what kind of business you start, no matter how
no.
perfect your playbook or how perfect your coaches were, just like with Amazon, there's nothing that's a sure thing. But the whole point is like, hey, we want to try something that is the least amount of risk possible. Is there anything that you could
I
say
mean,
random
I,
things?
I always say like my wealth advisor is like, you are so risk taker, and I'm like, I am
Mhm.
because I would not consider myself that, but I think I read a book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and I was like, oh, that's kind of how I think, and that's what he was saying is like, people who do really well with money and attract money are people who just see it kind of like as a faucet and it flows. And so
Mhm.
like when I like make a lot of money, I like take it and I'm not extravagant at all. I'm very, very frugal. Like I wear the same shoes, same watch. Like I just, the things I like to buy are assets. The other things that make money. And so
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
I'll always try something different. Like I was like oil wells. I'm going to do oil wells. I love my oil wells, you know? So I love learning. I did that. And then real estate, man, I've done so much in real estate. And like I said, I love hate it. My husband and I, we buy fixer uppers. We own a roofing and remodeling company. And then we just on a bunch of wholesalers lists. So anyone on here who's like, I want to get into real estate, the best thing to do is just go Google wholesalers in my area. They're
Mhm.
people who basically come across deals all the time. They're meeting with people that are going through divorce, or maybe someone in the family died and they don't want to deal with selling the house. It's a hoarder house. So they'll like literally you can pick these houses up for like 50% off. A lot of people do the tax sales. I always think that's just too much work. But a wholesale list, I'll get like, I probably have every wholesaler in Utah and they send me deals. And I just look at it and I'm like, dude, that's a sweet, that's a sweet house. We'll go check it out. And, I do have enough cash sitting around that I can just buy them in cash. And then it takes us 3 to 6 months and we'll sell that. And we usually want 100,000 profit. And, just do 2 or 3 of those a year. That's pretty sweet. So, I mean,
Hmm.
getting started though, you could get a loan, but it's really difficult with wholesalers because they want a quick close. So
Mhm.
you're going to need to just work with a hard money lender, and I do hard money lending. So I'll 100% give someone $500,000 at 15% interest. And imagine if you're doing the fix and flip on that, you're only needing to have that loan for 3 to 6 months, so you can make the numbers work. And then you just hire a crew, a contractor who does the fix up for you. You sell it, and then you would pay off the loan, and you'd keep the profit. So that's kind of a good way that we've made money fast, is doing that. And then ones that we like, or maybe they don't sell as fast, we've just held on to as rentals. So I think I have like 20 doors, and I have like several syndications. Syndications is where you come together with other investors. I think I talked about this at a Helium 10 event a long time ago, but you just give them like 100 grand or 150 grand or 50,000. Some of them, most of them require like $100,000 minimum investment. And you buy like big apartment complexes. I'm talking like 50 to 500 units, you know?
Oh my goodness.
And all you do is you just get a check in the mail, like every quarter. And your returns are only going to be like 8 to 12%. Whereas when you do a fix and flip, you're going to make, 100 grand on, if you take $500,000 and in 6 months you make 100 grand as your return, that's a pretty phenomenal return. Right?
I'll be cool with that.
Yeah. There's so many different ways, and everyone says, well, you have to make money, or you have to have money to make money. And I'm like, it is kind of true, because a lot of these things you have to be an accredited investor. But if you can like scrape some of your money together or start saving, you really can unlock some of these cool opportunities out there, because there are a lot of ways to make money. There's a lot of ways to lose money too, but
yeah, I love it. We're hearing stuff that probably half the audience never knew was an actual thing here, but I love it. All right, going back to the last question then, for going back to e-commerce then, from the beginning you said you're really into branding. I think it's obvious that people can see it now, the way that you tackle your projects and things. So in 2025, people are just starting, or they're realizing that, like, man, I've never paid attention to my brand, and I think that's why I'm not doing well. What would you say to them as far as like some just bullet points of things that will help them build their brand story and their image, etc.?
Okay. Yeah. Well, first, I always like to say, would someone tattoo your logo on their face? Or if not even on their face, on their arm, or put it on a decal on their truck or on a hat? This is the first thing. Whenever I'm looking at like people's logos or their brands, I'm just like, that is the stupidest thing. No one would ever even buy merch or wear a shirt. And that's a free billboard. If you can't give away your product with the logo on it and have someone that would be like, that's sick, man, I want to wear it, like, start over. So I call myself like a brand Nazi in that regard, even though a logo's not a brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Yeah.
should be so in love with your logo and just be like, man, that is so sexy, because sexy sells. It's cool,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of the time when I see someone's logo, I'm like, we got to start. Like, that's not even acceptable. It looks like clip art. We're not doing that. So we fix that. Then the story. And everyone will be like, I don't have a story. I've never met anyone that I cannot pull a story out of and create something that's incredible. So maybe I'm just a really good storyteller, but people will come to me and they'll be like, well, I have a story. And then they start telling me about their product. Like, I was working with these ladies, and they sell incredible products on Amazon. They're lotions and creams, and they're from Taiwan. And they're telling me they don't have a story. But they're telling me that their mom used to, when they were kids, they had eczema and their skin was terrible, and they had psoriasis, and their mom made all these blends from the herbs that she found in the garden and in the natural landscape of Taiwan. And I'm just sitting there being like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the coolest story. So they come to America in college and they break out in eczema, and they can't get any products here that help them with their skin. So their mom's sending them over the lotions and potions that they make. And they kind of have this light bulb moment of, hey, we should like make these products here. I'm like, that story's killer. It's just so funny. And that's every YouTuber I've ever worked with, or just even regular company. I work for just regular companies all the time. And they're like, I don't know what the story is. And sometimes we make one up, but most of the time they're sitting on one and they just didn't know it, because we get so close to everything, that we're up close and personal with, that we can't see the awesomeness that it is, because
Yep.
it's like the fish in water. David Foster Wallace has that incredible speech. A fish in water, he doesn't know he's in water because he's swimming in it,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
takes that outside air. So I think, what else was the question? I think I was answering something larger than that. So the story's super important
Yeah.
for the brand. And then it's just your people. Like, if you obsess about your person, if you can't in your mind picture the person that is perfect for your products and who you're making it for, I just feel like you'll never really catch fire, because everything that I've ever done that's just gone super viral or super awesome as a brand is because there's a person behind it that I feel passionate about and I can speak their language.
Yeah.
And I tell this story a lot because it was when I first realized this and it started my marketing career. But with my very first company I was working with, we were launching a supplement product. We had launched it, and it was recovery proteins and, stuff made for athletes. And they were at like the Arnold one weekend, which is bodybuilders. And then the next weekend they'd be at like an MMA competition. They're trying to sell their recovery protein and their creatine and all this stuff. And they just were not getting traction anywhere, like a couple buys here and there. And then there was this little sport that was just starting in like Cucamonga, California, and it was called CrossFit. And it was like brand new and it was blowing up like pickleball. And we were like, why don't we just go all in on CrossFit? And let's like go and let's pretend our supplement is made by CrossFitters for CrossFitters, Like we kind of backed into the positioning and the storytelling. And then it gave us laser beam focus. We knew now who our athletes were that we needed to lock up. We weren't spending every weekend at different events, I went after every single CrossFit athlete. I created a pro tier and an amateur tier because I wanted the up and comers too. Gave them free product in exchange for endorsements. I knew what magazines I needed to advertise in. I knew the language to speak. You don't talk about a gym if you're talking to CrossFitters. They go to boxes, and you don't talk about doing your workout. They do WODs, and they do Ralph and Murph. And there's all this like language, and there's secret signs and symbols that you build this lexicon. And now you have people that are so freaking passionate about your product that you freaking blow up. And we became the official supplement sponsor of the CrossFit Games. We were everywhere. Progenics was like the shit bomb. And then you can start branching out. Once you've like created that foothold in a market, guess what happens? CrossFit is not just a sport in and of itself, but there's doctors, there's firemen, there's policemen, all these people that like to do CrossFit for a workout. They're not necessarily like CrossFit athletes, although we locked down that market. Now we start attracting surfers were doing CrossFit. So we got the surf community. We had a bunch of yoga instructors that love doing CrossFit for like their hit days, whatever. So now we got the yoga, we get mountain climbers, we got spearfishers that do CrossFit. And we then could move into these other segments and start growing. So you go narrow first so you can go wide later. And that's how I like to think about the journey of a brand and how to gain traction and then grow.
I love it. All right. So guys, I don't know what kind of demographic we didn't touch today, but if you're an influencer, you're a celebrity, you're just an average Joe or Sally, or you're somewhere in between, you're a experienced Amazon seller looking to invest in other things. We talked about it all. So thanks, Janelle, for covering such a wide variety of topics. How can people find you out there on the interwebs if they want to reach out for more guidance?
Okay, go to JanellePage.com. That's my website. Or if you like pickleball, for sure, go to 5 Dink Friday. It's spelled 5, like F-I-V-E. And LinkedIn, I post. My Instagram's kind of like my scrapbook. But yeah, connect with me. I love helping you. And guys, this is for reals. I've been using Helium 10 since 2014. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, I don't get paid to say that or anything. All my employees, all my VAs, like everyone uses Helium 10. It's a great product.
Love it. All right, Janelle, thanks a lot. I'll be seeing you at Amazon Accelerates, or what events you coming to next?
Probably BDSS. We always see each other there. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't even looked at what I'm going to next, but I'll probably Top Dog. Do you ever come to that one?
I have not been to that one. I think one was recently in like Portugal or something. I was like, oh man, I wish I could go to that one.
I went, and when I learned how to kite surf, it was amazing.
Oh my goodness. All right. I'll try and go to the next one for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So anyhow, but super fun to be here again.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Cheers.